Are you looking for the best microphones for video? Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at the different types of microphones, which ones you should use for your content, and our recommendations for the best video mics right now that balance price and performance in each category. Hey, it's Justin Brown here from Primal Video, where we help businesses and entrepreneurs amplify their brand and their business with video. If you're new here, then make sure you click that subscribe button, and all the links to everything we mentioned in this video, you can find linked in the description box below. So let's jump into it. Now, audio is absolutely critical to creating quality video content. So if you're not using the right microphone, it's one of the easiest ways to level up your content fast. But there's lots of different types of microphones out there, and each of them actually has a different purpose. So there's shotgun microphones, lavaliers, wireless, podcast microphones. So what's the difference, and which is the best one for you and your style of content? We're going to take a look at the key differences to help you pick the right mic for your videos, as well as my recommendations for the best bang for buck performance in each category. And make sure you stick around to the end, because I'll also link you to my 2 top tips for getting the best audio and maximizing the results from your microphones. So let's start out at the beginning where most people start out, and that's with the built-in camera audio, or the microphones that are built into your cameras, whether it's a DSLR, mirrorless video camera, or your smartphone, it's the built-in one. So the biggest advantages of those microphones is that they're built in, meaning that you've got nothing else that you need to worry about in regards to batteries or charging or any adapters that you need to use to be able to capture audio. It is all built in. But that's pretty much where the advantages end. And the disadvantages are the audio quality. In most cases, it is terrible or very mediocre at best, especially if there's any wind around. They'll just catch that wind and create a terrible noise, and they'll also generally pick up a heap of background noise. So if you're recording in a noisy environment and you're trying to talk, then it's going to be very hard to stand out above the background sound as well. So my recommendation is to, wherever possible, avoid using the built-in microphone on your camera unless that's all you've got. And if that is all you've got, then try to shoot in locations with minimal background noise and away from wind wherever possible. But really, if you're able to use any of the other types of microphones that we're about to get into, then that will give you better audio. The second type of microphone is a lapel or a lavalier microphone. They're also known as a clip-on microphone. So these are ones that you've most likely seen on TV or documentaries that are clipped onto someone's shirt, jacket, jumper, whatever it is, usually placed as close to the speaker or presenter's mouth as possible. So really, with any type of microphone, the closer you can get the microphone to the audio source, so whoever is speaking or presenting, the better the audio will be, and the least amount of background noise or echo that'll be picked up by the microphone. So that's where these microphones are fantastic, because the distance usually between where the microphone is and the speaker's mouth is normally a pretty short distance, and it's consistent too. So if they're moving around, if it's just clipped to your shirt, then that distance is going to remain pretty similar, meaning that the audio is going to be consistent and it's close, so it's going to be decent as well. Now for this video, and for most of the videos on our channel, we do experiment with different ones from time to time, but we usually use a lapel or a lavalier microphone as our go-to for most of the videos. And it's actually what I'm using for this video now. I've got the lapel stuck under my shirt here. So there's actually 2 different types. You can go a wired microphone or a wireless microphone, and both of them have different advantages and disadvantages. But in general though, across both of them, these types of microphones, as we said, are fantastic for people talking, and they're used a lot for any interviews or TV shows. There's heaps of mounting options for these types of microphones, whether you are going to tape it under a shirt or whether you're going to clip it onto a jacket. These are really easy to quickly clip on or stick to someone, and you're good to go. Now these microphones are really designed for single person use, meaning that each person you're going to have in your interview or in your shot should ideally have one of these microphones each, so that you're getting that consistent distance between the microphone and the person speaking. These really don't work too well for picking up audio across multiple people. So these also then aren't great if you're looking to capture background noise or atmospheric sound from the locations you're shooting in. These are designed to be attached to a person and capture the audio from a person. Now, as I said, there's also advantages and disadvantages between the 2 different types, wired or wireless. So the wired microphones, you've actually got a lot less chance of having interference because you're physically cabled or connected to your camera. It's not running over any Wi-Fi frequencies. So because you're connected, there's less chance of any interference with your audio source from external radio frequencies or Wi-Fi. With the wired microphones, depending on which one you choose, you'll either not have a battery or not need a battery at all, or you'll have a battery in the microphone, but the battery life will be huge. So the chances of running out of battery while you're recording with a wired lapel or lavalier microphone is very minimal because the battery life is so long. But the biggest downsides of using the wired microphones is that you're obviously connected or tied or tethered to your camera. So you're going to be limited on the amount of movement that you have and how far you can get away from the camera while you're creating your videos because you're directly connected to the camera. Another big advantage of these types of microphones is that they are pretty cheap. You can normally pick them up anything from $9. There's a heap around the $20 price point. Obviously you can spend more as well. So it really comes down to the type of videos you're creating, how much flexibility and how much movement you need as to what's the best solution for you. So the wireless microphones then give you the flexibility where the wired ones wouldn't. Essentially, they're the same sort of microphone except you're wireless. So you have the flexibility to move away from your camera and in some cases up to around 400 meters or quite a distance away from the camera and walk around and still get great audio back for your video recording. The biggest downsides then with the wireless setup is that you will need batteries in both the transmitter and the receiver unit to be able to run the unit. So depending on how long you're going to be filming for, you'll definitely want to make sure that you've got enough batteries to last you for that time. And because it's wireless, it is possible that you can get interference from other things around in the area that you're filming. Things like Wi-Fi or radio frequencies that are in your area may affect the quality of the audio that you are sending back to your camera. So it's just something, again, to be aware of. All right, so really all you need to know here is if you want a lapel or lavalier microphone that you have some flexibility to step away from the camera and walk around and not be connected to it, then wireless is what you're after. If you aren't going to be moving around too much, maybe you're creating videos like this where you're just in a room, then maybe a wired microphone might be the one for you. So my top recommended microphone currently for wired lapel or lavalier microphones is still the Boya BY-M1 microphone. For $20 US, it is probably the best bang for buck wired microphone that you can get. This will work on both smartphones and on DSLRs, and it's actually the microphone that we use for most of our videos. And our current top recommendation for best bang for buck wireless microphone setup goes to the Rode Filmmaker Kit. Now, this is something that I always carry with me because it is such a flexible solution for getting great audio. The price though is a little bit more expensive than the $20 for the wired solution. These normally come in at around the $400 US price point. So it's definitely more expensive, but you've got that flexibility of being able to move away from your camera and not be directly connected to it. The third type of microphone is a shotgun microphone. So these essentially replace the built-in microphone on your cameras with a much better solution. So being a shotgun microphone, it means that they will normally pick up the audio in the direction that the microphone is pointing. So it is a directional microphone, meaning that if there's a heap of noise behind the microphone, it's not going to pick it up anywhere near as much as it's picking up the audio from the front of the microphone. So these types of microphones are really popular by vloggers, people like John Olsen or Casey Neistat. They use these mounted on top of their cameras pointing directly at them, the audio source, so they're getting great audio from that direction and picking up minimal background noise from everywhere else. So one of the biggest advantages with these types of microphones is that there really is no setup. Once it's mounted onto your camera, if it's got an on switch, you turn it on, or some of them don't even need an on switch and they're just on when the camera comes on, and then you're good to go. So these are perfect for any sort of run and gun filming where you might be filming in one location, quickly picking up and filming somewhere else, and then back to another location. You don't need to worry about cables, you don't need to worry about frequencies or anything with wireless and moving and clipping the microphones on. This is literally the best solution for any run and gun filming. They're also fantastic for picking up consistent audio across multiple presenters if you don't have the ability to put a lapel or lavalier microphone directly on each person speaking. So if I was going to have a few people in the shot talking at the same time, if I didn't have the ability to put a lapel or a lavalier microphone on everyone speaking, then the best solution there would be to use a shotgun microphone so that then everyone around is being captured by that one microphone, which means that the audio is going to be consistent across the 3 or 4, however many speakers there are, because it's the one audio source. If you've got a couple of people using one sort of microphone and mic'd up with a lapel or lavalier microphone and the rest of them aren't, then the audio isn't going to be consistent and it's going to sound really bad. So if you've got more than one person speaking or more people speaking than microphones that you have, then the shotgun microphone is the way to go. The biggest disadvantages then with shotgun microphones, as we've said, is that it will pick up a lot more background noise the further away the audio source is from the microphone. So because these microphones are typically mounted on top of the camera, they're not going to be anywhere near as close as a lavalier microphone would be. So while you'll still be able to get really good audio using these shotgun microphones, if you're filming in a noisy environment, then you will get a lot of that background noise through in your shotgun microphone as well. So my recommendations for shotgun microphones, if you're using a smartphone, I would say go the Rode Video Micro. If you're using a DSLR or mirrorless camera, my recommendation is the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. Or if you're using a more professional video camera, then check out the Rode NT-G4. The fourth type of microphone is a handheld microphone. Now these are ones that you typically see used by news presenters, especially when they're out in the field. So they're microphones that, as the name suggests, that you hand hold. So in a lot of cases, these are very similar to a shotgun microphone. They are really directional in the way that they're picking up the audio. Whatever direction it's pointed in is the audio that it's going to capture. One of the biggest advantages with handheld microphones is that you have the ability to move them around while you're actually filming. So if you've got someone that you're interviewing, you can move the microphone over to them when they're speaking and back to you when you're speaking, so that you're only going to pick up the audio from those audio sources. And that's really something that you can't do with a lapel microphone or a shotgun microphone. Most handheld microphones also have fairly decent wind reduction as well. So if you're using them outdoors and it's windy, then you're not going to pick up a heap of that wind noise in your video, which is really cool. So where these microphones really stand out is if you're filming in uncontrolled environments. So it's where you can't control the amount of background noise or what's going on in the rest of your shot. If you want to get good audio, then these microphones will allow you to do that, because they'll only pick up the audio that is closest to the microphone. The further away the microphone is, the huge amount of drop off there is. So in some cases with some of these handheld microphones, it can be the difference of a few inches or a few centimeters in positioning of the microphone and distance it is from your mouth to getting amazing audio and getting fairly average or really quiet audio through. So these are fantastic for cutting out a heap of background noise, even at things like trade shows where there is just so much going on. So the biggest disadvantage then is pretty much the same thing. You really need to be aware of where the microphone is pointing and the distance that the microphone is from whoever is speaking or from the audio source. So if you forget to point it at whoever is speaking, then there's a good chance that there will be next to no audio or really, really quiet audio from that person speaking. And once again, you've got the options of both wired and wireless handheld microphones as well. So our current top recommendation for best bang for buck handheld microphone goes to the Rode Reporter microphone. It's an amazing microphone. It's actually got an XLR port on the bottom of it, so it can be either cabled in or you can buy the additional adapter and convert it to be wireless as well. And you can currently pick up the microphone for around the $130 mark. So the fifth type of microphone then is a podcast microphone. So these type of microphones are ideal for creating podcasts or doing interviews on your phone or on your computer to get decent audio. So again, with these, you want to get as close to the microphone as you can for the best audio. The further away you are, the more background noise and echo that you'll bring into your audio recording. So in a lot of cases, you'll actually see people sitting right up next to these microphones so that they're getting the best audio out of them and that nice deep bassy sound that you would hear from a radio presenter. Most of the time, if you're using a podcast microphone, it will either be mounted on something like a mini tripod on your desk, or it'll be on a boom extension arm. So something that is adjustable and you can fold it away or bring it in when you're going to use it right up next to your face. Most of the podcast microphones out there, you won't need to worry about batteries or worry about power, because you'll be plugging them into your computer using USB, which will power the microphone as well. Depending on which one you go, you could also have a heap of additional features on the microphones, like having the ability to monitor and listen to the audio that you've got coming through there, and in some cases, even the audio coming back through your computer as well. So probably the biggest disadvantage with these types of microphones is how close you actually need to be positioned to it. So depending on the type of recordings that you're doing. If you're doing podcasts, that's probably fine. If you're using these types of microphones to have general online communication, so things like Facebook Messenger calls, Slack calls, Zoom calls, and you like to move around a little bit or work off multiple screens and look in different locations, then you really need to be close to the microphone to be able to get the best audio. You seriously don't have to move that far away from the microphone, similar to the other microphones we've spoken about, to really degrade the audio that you're getting out of them. So it really depends on your use case. If you have the ability to sit up close to the microphone, then you will get amazing sound out of these types of microphones. If you need to step back a little bit, then these aren't going to give you the best results. And that's probably where some sort of shotgun microphone or even a Lapel or Lavalier microphone would be better suited if you want to be able to move around a little bit away from your computer. So our current top recommendation for podcast style microphone is the Rode NT USB. Now this is really the best bang for buck microphone. We've tried a heap of them. This one has amazing sound and it's also got built-in monitoring as well. So really, these are the major types of microphones. So before we get to my top 2 tips for maximizing your results with each of these microphones, I just want to be clear that you definitely don't need all of these. It will really come down to the type of videos you're creating, and in a lot of cases, you might just need one of these microphones to do everything that you need. Now, obviously, if you've got the budget for more than one microphone, then definitely go for it. But most people out there will probably be looking for just one microphone to get started with. So if you have to choose just one of these microphones and you're producing a range of content, then which one should you get? Well, for flexibility in filming, a decent shotgun microphone could be a good all-rounder for a lot of people, and depending on your budget, I would be looking at either the Rode Video Micro if you're using a smartphone, or if you're using a smaller camera or you don't have a huge budget, or if you're shooting on a bigger camera and you've got a bit bigger budget, then check out the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. Okay, so now that you've got a better idea of which microphone is likely the better choice for you, it's time to get the most out of it. And 2 things that you'll definitely want to consider is number 1, soundproofing. So whether it's a home or office studio or you're out on location, there are some simple DIY solutions that can get you great results fast. And number 2, if you're noticing an issue with wind noise, then grab a cheap lavalier microphone and mount it under your shirt. I've included links to videos running through both tips now in detail on screen, so make sure you check them out, and I'll see you soon.